Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
If you've been hurt in a road accident that wasn't your fault, you should really talk to G4 Claims first. Unlike road accident solicitors, we don't charge you for our services, which could see you better off. To keep 100% of your compensation, have a chat with Nicole and the team. You'll be glad you did. Search online for G4 Claims.
Keep 100% of your claim. G4 Claims.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Sellik the Thunder podcast. We're on to episode number 92. There's no shirt numbers. By the way, there's only one left. I don't know if you were here last. There's only one number left.
99.
Nope, no 99. You've skipped ahead. I'm not going to give you a clue because I don't want you to go even think about it quite yet, but there is only one player left. So instead, I've actually set it up this week.
Of that?
Who was the top goal scorer for the 1991-1992 campaign? Fuck off. It's the early 90s.
Oof.
It's the 90s.
People say remember the 90s. I can't. Well, we weren't there.
We weren't there.
It's terrible. God, I don't know.
I'll give you a clue. Think Sky Sports.
Andy Walker.
Andy Walker.
No, Andy Walker.
John Collin?
No.
Sky Sports.
Sky Sports. No longer with them. Alive, but no.
David Proven?
No. God, he's only going to get it. He's
Charlie Nicholas.
Yes, Charlie Nicholas, Champagne Charlie.
I'm thinking about that one.
Aye, so funny, good one. 25 goals in that campaign, but it was the early 90s, so we couldn't win an egg cup. Third in the league that season, no trophies. They only made it to, I think, the second round of the UEFA Cup, so it wasn't a season to remember back in the early 90s. But of course, us entitled Neds, we don't need to worry about that. Nah.
Why even bother supporting them then?
Nah, I know.
I'm kidding, guys.
Welcome back to the lovely G. Oh, can you? Oh, it was one of.
I'm sweating, man.
One of these podcasts, is it? Oh God. Welcome back to the lovely G4 Claim studio. As you can see, a bit of a different setup tonight. We're in the upstairs studio. What is it? The 2 pints and a shot, 2 shots and a pint.
2 pints and a shot.
Is that what it is? Aye. So it's like we're copying their setup tonight. If you know.
Except they've got 3 cameras and we've got you sitting at the end of the table.
I don't know. You'll feel more involved. It feels as if you.
I don't know. I feel like they're intruding, to be honest.
Fuck off.
What are you doing here?
But thank you anyway to G4 Claims. We're going to be here to preview the game against Aberdeen on Sunday, tomorrow, as of this is released, and we're going to talk about some of the transfer business as well at Celtic, alongside all the usual. Hot off the press, just as we're coming in here. We'll come to that in the second half of the show, but very quickly, and then I'll get on to these 2 gentlemen. Well done, and thank you to everybody who's joined our FPL league. Yes, I made an FPL league, even though you 2 don't play it. Do you
do not play it.
I mean, it would have been nice to have been invited at least.
I put it on the Twitter.
Did you?
Aye.
I did see the tweet, to be fair.
Aye, I was like, surely that's enough to know.
I don't want any part of that nonsense.
I'll give everybody a head start this week. I'll join next week.
Right, okay. Why are you so against FPL?
Because I just don't have the attention span to keep up for that long.
Well,
I've got to be honest, I do it once and then I won't change my team. I'm very much this guy that I'll do my team, I'll believe in that team throughout the season. Injuries aside, form aside, that'll be my team.
Well, I'm figuratively and literally the head of the table. I'm the reigning champion of my own mini league. I'm ready to win.
Reigns.
I'm ready to win this mini league. So see if you can topple me. We're going to keep up with it every week and give a shout out to who the best 5 performers are. And at the end of the campaign, you'll win a prize if you manage to beat me. So we'll see.
Plenty of prizes to get handed out.
For some laugh, like I finished 30th or something. Oh Jesus! But I am joined alongside 2 of the regular contributors today. I'm going to start with you, Ryan McGinlay. Ryan, how are you doing?
Things are good, mate. Things are good. Happy that Celtic are back in action. 3 points on the 3 points on the board. Not every team can say that after the first game of the season. Pretty good.
Yep.
Brendan's back. Kyogo's back. Carter Vickers is back.
Yep.
A couple of people have left, but I'm happy that Celtic are back in business.
And Kieran, we obviously returned to section 412 on Saturday. How are you feeling to be A, back in the football season, and B, back in the podcast?
And it was buzzing to be back because it was a long 2 months. I thought, we were talking about it previously about how it was kind of getting a wee bit quicker with the pre-season and that, but it still just felt like a fucking drag. So much went on, and it's just good to be back to a bit of stability after the start of the summer. We were very unsure as to where things were headed, but I'm happy to be back on the podcast as well.
A lot of people still unsure of where we're headed. I'm sure we'll address that throughout the podcast, but we'll start with previewing the Aberdeen game and talking all about that. We'll try and get it done and dusted. It's a tough game, Ryan. Probably the toughest challenge Rodgers has had so far out of pre-season and now obviously the season starting. Is this going to be the real gauge to see where the Celtic team currently is?
Yeah, I think it's his first big test as a manager, even though Ross County made a hell of a good game of it. I thought they started the game really, really well. But that first away game of the season, 2 years ago, Ange Postecoglou, he came up there and he got a big win at Pittodrie, and that sort of kick-started his managerial career. I know Carter Vickers today was speaking to the media, and he said he was getting asked if I win it, Pittodrie will kick-start their season. I think he's asking the wrong team and the wrong players that, to be perfectly honest. There's another team down the road that they could probably ask about kick-starting their season, but yeah, always a big game, even though Celtic's record is really, really good at Pittodrie, especially in the recent history. They're always a good test, a hard challenge, and you're expecting Barry Robson's teams to be coming out firing, to be honest. They dropped points last weekend against Livingston, I think it was, away from home. Yep. Their first home game of the season. They'll be looking for 3 points just as much as Celtic, so it should be a good game on Sunday. Yeah,
Kieran, you're looking at the team who a lot would say are the favourites for third place. Outside of Rangers, probably the best team in the league, judging off the tail end of last season. So it's going to be a tough test. Ryan spoke about how good we've been at Pittodrie, but you're always going there for a difficult game.
See, it's always a difficult game, but I feel like the past few times we've been there, you're setting up against different things. Like, you look back to that game in December last year, the first game back after the World Cup break, that was awful, trying to break down 11 men behind the ball. And it took a bit of McGregor magic to actually get the win that day, and people were getting a wee bit panicky. But then you look at previous times, as Ryan said, we've got a decent record there now, but it's one of the places you've always just got it in your mind it's a hard place to go, because Aberdeen are always right up for it. And we were talking about them drawing that in each last week away at Livingston. It's a different kind of game, I suppose, because they were the ones on the front foot last week, and they were getting hit on the counter quite a lot. They looked quite vulnerable. I watched the highlights back, like long balls early tap. They're not going to get that with Celtic, to be fair. Yep. But I think if they try and play expansive football, which I think Barry Robson will try and do, because he doesn't want to just sit everybody behind the ball. I think that's the reason why I like Barry Robson, because he's somebody he went out and achieved third place, you've seen so many teams like Hearts. I always felt there was no clear style of play under Robbie Nielsen and that. I think that's where they suffered. Yep. But I think Barry Robson's trying to give them a bit of an identity. And I'm usually quite critical of Scottish teams just appointing the interim coach, because I think that's just been the done thing for far too long now. And I agree. So many of them don't deserve the opportunity. For example, whatever the fuck's going on at Hearts right now, Naismith and McAvoy.
You've seen how that ended at Motherwell as well last season with Stevie Hamill.
Aye, but I just think it happens too often. But I think under Robson, they're hoping to kickstart. They're definitely got a game time in that. I think he's pretty safe for a long while, because I think the fans are right behind him. But you need to keep in mind they've got a European tie coming up in a couple of weeks as well. They're going to be playing that Häcken more than likely for Sweden. Yep. They're currently sitting third in the league, so they're going to try and get a bit of form themselves to get into that tie, because it's not going to be an easy feat. And let's just hope Celtic can deal with them on Sunday.
Yeah, we should have the quality to deal with them. We showed the attacking quality we certainly have against Ross County, scoring 4 goals in the game. A lot of people still weren't 100% happy with the performance, but I think that will resonate through everybody at the club. I think Rodgers will probably himself not be 100% happy. There are things we can iron out, Ryan. There's definitely wee bits in that performance defensively, performances you could highlight that weren't the greatest, but that's the reason that we're currently trying to improve the back line, and I'm sure Sunday is going to be one of those ones where he'll slap into the team at Lennoxtown, right? These wee errors, Aberdeen much better team, you can't give them away at Pittodrie. Yeah.
You think about that chance that Joe Hart presented to Simon Murray with regard to the penalty. Bojan Miovski's a smarter striker than Simon Murray, I would assume. So if he was in that position, he'd
Is
get a penalty.
Miovski still there?
Aye, because I looked up the starting
Ramadani
lineup for
I
last
thought
week.
he was away.
Ramadani left.
Because I remember somebody's told me this lie.
I think it was me.
It was you.
It was me.
Miovski. I don't know if I can say.
Miovski, I thought he was Offski.
That Ramadani went to somebody in Italy, did they know?
Aye, I think so.
Lecce.
Aye, Lecce,
Yeah. But they've still got
Smart
Duke as well.
striker,
Duke's a good player off the ball as
Yep.
well. He likes to run. He was a really good pick up from them. I think they've got like a 50% sell on, or Benfica have got a 50% sell on, so they ain't making any profit on him. Basically,
That's a player I thought they might have lost. And this summer.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still time to be fair, but I think because you're guaranteed group stage football in the Conference League at least, I think that's probably enough to keep them there until at least January. But it's good for them to keep a hold of that, because as much as it's going to be more annoying for us because it's two strong forwards up against your centre halves, it's nicer to see Scottish teams not just letting go of players straight away. But
Aye, I think that from last week, I think there's a couple of people who need to kind of bucking up their ideas a wee bit. I think defensively we looked weak, especially at fullback areas. Ralston and Taylor, I thought both of them were pretty poor against Ross County. And I don't look at Aberdeen being a team that necessarily could terrorise us on the wings. I don't think that Taylor and Ralston are going to be out their depths by any mean, but I just don't want to see us giving away any easy opportunities or making it too easy on those areas of the park, because we're better than that. We know we are. Taylor was one of our Player of the Year candidates last season, and I'm still somebody who's quite critical on Ralston. I don't think he's quite the standard that Celtic need, but we know there's a player there, so they need to show it in this game.
we know their players, but in an inverted role, I would say. I think his traditional fullbacks, they leave a lot to be desired. I've got to be honest. I think I'm counting down the days until Alistair Johnson's back in that team, because do you know he's such a, well, it seems like the middle of September. Not Postecoglou, that's terrible to say that.
Wow, he's not over him. He's away. Get at it.
Get Ange in the brain, guys. Sorry.
This game's on Sunday, by the way. Brentford.
Yep.
2 o'clock.
I'll watch the second half once the Celtic game's finished. Yeah, surprised I didn't say it's Rodgers' first game for Spurs. That's the one where I thought it was going to go in the summer, but he's here, so absolutely brilliant. Rodgers was saying that mid-September for both him and Tillio. The forgotten man Tillio almost came into the club.
I know. I thought at first, by the way he was making it sound that Johnson might have been back sooner, but
I think he put the two in the same boat, didn't he? Because they're both out on the grass at the same time. So yeah, I think in terms of the fullback area, we'll probably go on to speak about another fullback later on in this episode.
It was in the running order for next, actually.
Yeah, well,
so I'm going to transition that while you bring it up over to the next point.
Fullbacks, that's what I would say.
I wanted to talk about the fact that the discourse that's been going on throughout the week in regards to Rio Hateate and Bernabei as well, Kieran. Obviously, two players who fell. Well, one fell out of the starting 11 and one fell out of the entire squad, both for different reasons at the weekend, but both of them have been pictured back in training. Both of them look as though they're still happy enough to be here.
But he looked ecstatic in training. I don't know if you've seen the photos. He looked happy as well.
He's just happy to roll across cancelled his got.
He's having a class time.
Brendan Rodgers has bought him a really nice alarm clock, and that's him. He's there early now. That's it.
What do you make of the whole Bernabei sleeping in gate scandal?
Sleepgate. Just imagine him all tucked up in bed, dressed like Scrooge with the big long cap and
with a wee candle on the plate. It's like the bit in The Simpsons where he's like, I'm a big toasty cinnamon bun. That was him that morning. But he doesn't do any sell any favours, does he, Kieran?
Just when you see wee glimpses and that, he just shoots himself right in the foot. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's going to be something that's going to majorly set him back. But I mean, I think it's not exactly the best thing to do, especially when you're new into a pretty new manager here. Yeah. So it's not the best impression to be given off. And I don't know if he's helped himself, but in terms of Hateate, I think there's been a lot of overreaction with the fan base of Hateate. I mean, I know he never stopped to sign some wins. Taps last week and people were calling for his head.
Can we talk about that? What is that about?
Fucking wild.
It's not. If I don't mind speaking to folk and all the rest of it, but if I was a football player, that level of I get an autograph, I think I'd be right on the box as well.
It's a game never started. Like bench for a game, like for Turnbull. I mean, Turnbull played well. We'll probably come on to talk about the impact he had last week, but I think a lot of people have just sort of somehow written Hateate off again. After last season, everybody acknowledging that he's probably got the highest ceiling of anybody in the team, and saying he could probably go higher than most people in the squad. To then go for that, the praise everybody heaped on him, to know, because he had a couple of off games in pre-season, that he's nowhere near as good as Turnbull, and some of the wild things I've been seeing.
Very wild.
Support for lunatics, isn't it?
But honestly, it is nuts, to be honest, because I think it's so fickle to just write him off again when you know how good he is. Rodgers did come out and say, I don't know if it was like during the week there, saying about how he's not going to pick the best players, but he's going to pick people that are playing the best, which is fair enough, to be fair. He sees what he sees in training, and it might be the kick up the arse for Hateate to get going again. But I think for people to be saying get rid of him and that is just, we don't deserve nice things. But we generally don't. If that's what it takes for you to change your mind on a player and say he needs to go, then fucking get help.
Aye. Roger's comments, actually, Ryan, I'll come to you to get your thoughts, because I know you're one of Hatate's biggest supporters. You've always
not his biggest.
You've always loved him. But Rogers, he commented, it was in the papers, he said you never expect players to be happy if they're not playing. It's just the way Rio is too. Even before a ball was kicked, I could see that he has style and a way about him, but he's a good guy, there's no question of that. There are none of them here who I wouldn't say there's a red flag in terms of their attitude or anything like that. They're all professional in their work and they do everything correctly. Goes on to big him up after that, says he's training, blah blah blah. I think people read into things a little bit too much sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm somewhere in the middle with it all, to be honest, because there are some, and you can only take pictures as stills in that moment, but there's some pictures that he does look a wee bit annoyed and stuff. But he isn't his usual chirpy self. Even a couple of weeks before, though, as well. You put that in context with all the comments that he's making about wanting a new challenge. Has something maybe happened within the club that he's maybe had a deal on the table?
Maybe his dog died.
Very true. I mean, these are
no real. I don't know if you've even got a dog, but I hope
he's a player that I did fully expect to leave this summer. I didn't expect Jota. I expected Hateate,
and I think the club expected Jota, to be honest.
I think it was just the biggest curveball for everybody. So I don't know if maybe that scuppered him. Maybe the club would have been more open to letting him go. Yeah. But now that we've lost Jota as well, we felt we've lost a player, the Champions League sort of quality. We don't want to lose another player like that. But
you think about it though, because like imagine in the summer, just in terms of optics, looking at that, you lose this summer Jota, Hateate, and Starfelt. That's a big spine of the team that have been so well over the past 2 years. It's no, I think if the right deal was to come in and you would get a solid one or two replacements, I think you'd need two players to replace Hateate. I think those two Sheffield United boys, or the Man City boys that were on loan at Sheffield United, they would be two good replacements that would sort of take the burden off of the midfield shoulders. But that's the thing, it's just...
do you think that Brighton will be in about it if Caicedo goes?
I've
do you think
two
so?
And two together. Yeah, I think that'll be one of the moves they make. They're light on midfielders anyway, even with Caicedo. I think they bought the Hood and they've got James Milner, but they've lost McAllister and they're going to lose Caicedo. So I think they're waiting to get that money in the door and then they'll be launching bids, because you put two and two together even further. Mitoma and Hateate are really, really good friends. They still stay in contact from their days at Kawasaki. He's going to be asking him if he wants to come down and not sort of play in the Premier League. I think Hateate would take that league by storm if he was to go down there, especially for a team like Brighton who play football the right way. So, yeah, I don't want him to leave. I'd love him to stay another season, but I'm realistic that if that sort of bid does come in, then, Celtic might need to accept it. Yeah,
there'll be all eyes on him if he plays on Sunday, Kieran. People will be over-analysing every last wee bit.
He will be under a microscope, but I feel that always happens when this sort of situation rolls around. It's a pain in the ass, because I'm looking back, we're recording this, we're on the 11th of August, still got about 20 days of the transfer window to go, 3 weeks. It's annoying, because there is plenty of time for something like that to materialise, because there's so much movement. It is just a sort of domino effect when somebody leaves, as we're talking about with Caicedo, even Brighton, that very well could open the door to it, and you don't want it to be the reality, but if it does, you just hope that we've got people in mind lined up that, because I've seen it as well, a lot of people talk sort of link us with these players for down south, and you're like, where is the space for them? And then when you start to think about things, the space might be opening up for it, because Rodgers did speak as well about how, I think it was Stephen McGowan reported today about how he wants a goalkeeper, a left back and a left winger, and he's also prepared if there's a exit in central midfield to bring somebody else in. So I think things might be moving in that direction, but I hope no, because I think it would be another big loss going into the Champions League, and I'm sure we're about to move on to the topic of if we are weaker.
Well, I mean, that's been a conversation that's been big on Twitter. We'll come on to that in the second half of the show. Let's finish off our preparation for the Aberdeen game. We also got confirmation through the week that O is going to be injured for the next 3 to 4 weeks with a calf injury. Leaves us light in the striker department.
Did you watch the press conference, the actual video of it?
I never watch press conferences unless I'm at them. I don't watch them.
Yeah. Well, not unfortunately, but for my job I need to transcribe them all, so I'm watching them as Brendan Rodgers is saying things. You can sort of read between the lines with Brendan Rodgers that he was a wee bit miffed with the fact that O did get injured, because he obviously had that injury at Athletic Club, then trained on, then did pre-match preparation. He never came off the bench. He then trained on Sunday, and then he alerted the medical team. Now, I know players are desperate to come in and make an impression on the first team. They're desperate to be fit, but he's got to alert the medical staff on after that Athletic Club game, because he could have aggravated that even further. What could be a 2-3 week is now 6-7 weeks, so it's not ideal. Nah,
it's not ideal. Obviously gives Maeda double duty, having to cover maybe if Kyogo comes out. It's a lot of, I don't want to use the word pressure on Kyogo, because he's somebody who'll be absolutely fine. Fella, he'll love the opportunity to play 90 minutes week in, week out. But it does obviously create a wee bit of a headache, Kieran.
I know, especially because we're I hate to say light in the winging department, because it just feels light in proper options, I think, because we've got players there. But I think in terms of you might need players like Yang and that to come onto a game, I think, if we're talking about Maeda taking the burden of covering both roles, because I think Maeda will be starting the games, to be honest. So you can't really... I know he can play the 90 minutes. I think if there's anybody on the party you're confident could play 90 minutes week in, week out, it is him, because he's just got what was it we always say, the Duracell...
Duracell batteries, aye.
So, I mean, it's not ideal, but because if he gets injured, then it does start creating more and more problems, and then... We're still in the transfer window, things can be done, but I think that's why the topic's coming up a bit more about if we're light in certain places and if we're weaker, because you're seeing these possible issues that they're potential, they're small issues, but they could become, they could snowball.
Here's a question: do you think that, I know we will get on to predicted 11 for these games,
that's what's
but
next.
Just quickly on that Maeda point, do you think he's got to be on the bench then for cover in terms of going up front? Do you play Yang then from the start?
It's a possibility. I don't think it necessarily means he has to. I think that he could easily change through the game. If Kyogo comes off, I think they could move Maeda in, they could bring on Yang, Hacks, or whatever he decides to do.
At least there's options.
There's options.
It's not as if we don't have any options. It's just not.
It's not panic stations for me. Put it that way.
It's a concern at the same time.
Aye. Right. Well, let's quickly fire through team predictions then. I think we're about 20 minutes into the show, so we can rattle through that. Joe Hart in goals, obviously. No keeper signed yet.
Hopefully that does get.
We'll see.
Addressed.
We'll see.
I mean, again, last weekend, that first goal was just calamitous, to be honest.
Back four, Kieran, do you think any changes from last week?
I reckon in a perfect world there probably would be, but I don't think we're really going to see too much of a change, to be honest.
No, good debut from Nawrowski last week. Really impressed, especially by his passing. It looks really, really good. That chip into Daisen Maeda early on in the game was a real sort of highlight in his performance. But looks steady, looks really solid. Can see why we've spent the money on him.
I don't think anybody else. I mean, you could make a case for maybe a Wata over Ralston, but nah, I think it'll be Ralston again.
I think they play the natural right back, to be fair.
Aye. Midfield three changes. Will Hateate come back in? I'll open the table. Will it remain the same? Turnbull was brilliant last week. Does he deserve to be dropped?
I don't know if it will be dropped, to be honest. I mean, I'd like to see Hateate play just because I think he is a level above, but I mean, it is hard to argue with 2 goals to Turnbull last week. I mean, I know you've got your strikers for that, but I mean, Turnbull always feels like he does have a goal in him, and maybe he'll have that. Rodgers might have that in the back of his mind if it is going to be a tight game. You're looking for any opportunity to get the goals from the midfield. Not that Hatate's not capable of that, but because Turnbull's proven it in the first week, I don't think he gets dropped. I think I would prefer to see Hateate starting, but I think Turnbull will play.
So do you think it'll be the same for you last week? Aye. What about you?
I'd put Hateate in.
Over
I
Turnbull?
think your best player's got to play. I know maybe Brendan Rodgers has sent out this message that Hateate needs to work harder in training. I know he said training wasn't an issue, but if training wasn't an issue and he was one of our best players last season, why wasn't he starting the game? I know Turnbull's had a really good pre-season, but are we really going to drop Hateate over one game against Athletic Club? Because that seems to be the difference.
Aye.
Turnbull scored the third goal in a 3-2 win, and Hateate gave the ball away once, but he also scored in that game. So it was a very mixed performance. You play your best players. Hateate needs to be back. Calum McGregor's never going to get dropped, but at the moment Matt O'Reilly's undroppable as well.
He's been
He was up there for man of the match.
I think he was man of the match,
between him and Kyogo, but the two of them are brilliant together. They've got that connection, especially the two of them are playing as playmakers, and that fourth goal is just a thing of beauty. That pass from Kyogo into Matt O'Reilly, and Matt O'Reilly putting his laces through it. Desperate to see that sort of finish from him.
I was happy. I think I said it to you at the football as well. It's good he got his goal at the way this season, so you don't need to see the fucking stats from Sky
it's been
Sports
22
again.
games.
I think he'll be the first of many this season. He just looks a different animal. Really, really excited to see more of him this season.
Yep. So you're going for Hateate, you're going for Turnbull. I think I don't even know what side I lean towards. I think it could be any of the two.
As I said, I do want Hateate. See, just with the comments that Rodgers made as well about, because we were saying pick your best players, but he kind of came out and said he's not picking people based off of that.
He also sort of threw the gauntlet down to Turnbull as well to say, right, you got your chance, you took your chance, but you still need to stay hungry every week. It can't just be the one performance. It needs to be every week. I think that is one of the main criticisms with Turnbull, because we know he's got a great performance in him. He can really run a game. He was good last week, but he needs to keep that up for 4 or 5 games. The only way he can do that is by starting games, obviously. Yep. So, if Rodgers trusts him, then I trust him. But it's a good option to have either way. I think Turnbull's a good player. I think Hatate's a very good player. But I don't think the team will suffer that much, regardless.
And front three probably remains unchanged yet again as well. So just me, as the camera went really dim. It has. Has that stopped recording on me?
The red light's still on.
It looks as though it's went dead dim.
I think it is, but I don't think it's...
it's still recording, I think. It is, definitely. It still is recording. Hi guys, it's us. So, I don't know what's happened there, but it still is recording. No, I'll keep it in. Who cares? It's raw, innit? Well, guys, we're real people. Front three unchanged.
Yeah, although I have been impressed the past couple of weeks by Yang. I think maybe his game will be in the League Cup against Kilmarnock away from home. That might be the game he starts. Though, saying that, don't know if we want to drop too many players against Kilmarnock. A really tough game, but yeah, impressed by what I've seen so far. Plenty more to come. Maybe he'll just be on the bench again, so I would say Maeda, Abada, Kyogo.
You say him?
Aye, I think you need to start them.
Aye, I think that's the simplest part of the team to pick, to be honest, at this moment in time. But that's our team predictions. Let's finish off the preview with our score predictions. Tough game. I'm going to go 2-1 to Celtic.
I was going to say the same.
No.
I'll go 3-1.
Oh, 3. You're going for the 3. Confidence.
Goals all over the team.
Yep.
I think we'll concede, but I think we'll score more than them.
Well, there you go. That's our preview done, and we're moving on to one. I think, oh my God, I think that big Norwegian monster's already started. He has. The Premier League season is only 4 minutes in, and Erling Haaland has already opened his account for the campaign.
He's going for that record.
I mean, you talk about Kane leaving, it doesn't matter because Haaland's going to be 10
That's
anyway.
what I was saying. If Kane was to stay, he'd just be a placeholder for a couple of years. Haaland is coming for that record. The only thing stopping him is boredom, honestly.
I genuinely think he'll stay to City.
He's got to go to Madrid or something like that, you know. Right, hopefully he does soon. Can't do many more. Right, it's time for our half-time quiz today, and it's the return of one that done quite it was a wee popular one. It's the return of Tim Tac-Toe. So we're going to do that today. I've actually got 3.
I need one of the flat chat whiteboards for this, honestly. Just so
I might invest in a whiteboard. I'm going to put it in the middle, but basically I've done 3 today, and we're going to do best of 3 because at this point I'm hoping you grasp how it works, and if you do grasp how it works, they should be pretty quickly done. So I don't want it just to be like, all right, that's us finished, let's move on. So we're going to do best of 3. It's got to be Kieran against Ryan. Disclaimer, I have made the quizzes this week. Our great quiz master is away. He's off to Qatar, Doha. He's
going to be looking for any World Cup tweets he made.
Aye. So he's gone. He's away to work over there for the next couple of years. It doesn't mean he's not leaving the show. I mean, he's not on the show, but he's not leaving as quizmaster. He's just arrived, so give him 5 minutes to get his cell ready. So I've made them this week, so they're not that good. So we'll try anyway. So it's going to be used to again. You get the format of it. Ryan, I'm going to let you go first in the first game and in the third game, should we need a third game, because you won quiz last week, so you're at a wee advantage this week. I'm going to open it up on Snapchat so we can follow along with it this week. And I'm going to just get it all set up. So
on TikTok as well.
It's going to, yes, it'll probably be on the TikTok.
I'll get it with the camera angles. Is it not? for the TikTok.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be all right. I was actually thinking about that 5 minutes ago, and I think I'm all right. So the first one I'm going to put up on screen now, and I'm going to show you in a minute. On the top row, we have the club badges of Bayern Munich, Manchester City, and Tottenham Hotspur. And then going down the other side, we have Celtic, Liverpool, and not a club. 100 plus goals. So they've had to score 100 plus goals for the club that they play for. Ryan McGinlay, I'm going to let you go X or O's, you decide. I'm going to put it right in the middle and you can play it there if you can reach the phone and such. Okay, so McGinlay, feel free to start us off. Just name the player and then put a cross or a zero where you want to go.
Right, okay.
So,
Hingston this side.
so that's Celtic, Liverpool, and 100 plus goals. So it has to be 100 plus goals for Bayern City.
For Man City and Liverpool, Sterling.
So he's gone for the middle square and he's gone for Raheem Sterling as the noise
Sorry,
of
that's
the
a-
phone makes
That's a terrible X.
That was a
So
big
at
fat-
bottom one there's 100 goals
For
for
Bayern
Bayern,
Munich.
so
Yep.
Lewandowski.
Lewandowski. I'll give you that. That is a correct answer.
Like it.
Right, okay. God's sake.
terrible
Your
noise.
arms are too short.
I know.
He's no,
So
you know.
I'm going to go for Tottenham Hotspur, Liverpool, Robbie Keane.
Oh, Robbie Keane, right, okay. So McGinley's gone for that middle.
So Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Sadio Mane.
Oh, he's gone for Mane, right.
Briefly.
Okay. I could see us getting a tie in this first one today. I'd say that right now. I
Bayern-
feel like they get harder as we
Bayern
go on.
Munich and Celtic. Oh my God.
There's a few. I've done my
Is there a
research.
few?
There's I'm going to give you exceptions on this one should you say certain names.
Okay.
I think there's 3 that you can pick.
Oh, did he play for? Yeah, he did. Edson Braithwaite.
Oh, I didn't even think of that one. Aye, right. Put your cross down. Aye, I didn't. So
Could
I
I have said Alan McInally?
You could have said Alan
'Cause my
McInally.
dad was talking about him
Yep, you
today.
could have said Alan McInally. You could have. I would have gotten my exceptions that I would have given you for that one today would have been the likes of Liam Morrison and Barry Hepburn,
Right.
who moved to Bayern Munich.
I wouldn't have given them.
Well, they
no,
signed for
fair.
Bayern Munich,
Aye.
so they've not made an appearance, but
Aye.
they've signed.
So Tottenham over 100 goals. Harry Kane.
Harry Kane. Soon to be Bayern Munich over 100 goals as well. Who knows?
True.
Right.
So what do I need here? I need Man City and 100 goals. He's not got there yet, so I'll need to go for the other guy. I will go for Man City, 100 goals. Got to be Sergio Aguero.
Sergio Aguero, right. So there's only one possibility of a win now,
Oh.
and it would be for McGinley unless Kieran
Nah,
Auld
it's a draw. You might as well
takes
say
any
it.
of those.
Paddy
Paddy Roberts, there you go. So we've got a draw in the first game then. So that's
Was
good.
the-
That's
what
good.
was it, Tottenham and Celtic.
Tottenham and Celtic.
Could have been Robbie Keane as well.
Yep,
Could have
could
Cam
been.
and Carter Vickers.
Could have been Cam and Carter Vickers. Didn't even think of that one myself. So we've got a draw in the first game. Interesting. Now, if this ends as 1 each, God knows what we're going to do. You're going to have to take a wee tie for the half-time quiz. But it's fun anyway, isn't it? Right. So, Kieran Auld, you're going to get to go first on this one. And as I said, I feel like they get progressively harder. So, for match day 2, or game 2, on the top line we have the club badges of PSG, Barcelona and Arsenal, and then moving down the way we've got the club badges of Atletico Madrid, Celtic, and not a club badge, we have the country of Germany. So there you go. Once again, I'll pick your wee pen. You can choose if you want to go X or O or whatnot. Take us away.
I'll go with PSG, Germany, Julian Draxler.
I'll take that. That's a correct answer. Well done. Right, McGinley.
Right.
Reach it for there.
Barcelona, Celtic, Mark Rosas.
Okay, right. Mark Rosas.
Did make an appearance for them.
You
as
used
well.
that in the last X and O as well.
Did I?
PSG, Celtic, Timo Weah.
Yep, I'll give you that. Timo Weah is a correct answer. So, PSG, Atletico
God.
Madrid. I was going to give you the caveat that you're only going to start getting 15 seconds or
No,
20 seconds.
no,
I do think I could.
But not
You not
today.
got one for this?
No, I just like putting you in there.
This is the Atletico Madrid.
Oh my God, I'm thinking of every player that they've had recently.
There will be a line that I have to draw if you... Sorry, Ryan, there's your monster away. There's going to have to be a line I'll have to draw if you take too long, because we're not going to be here all night.
It gives you time. The more you've got.
This is the beauty. This is the beauty of the
Yeah.
game.
Obvious one,
People will be
I'm
shouting at you. I'm going to go and look up some correct answers. Don't you?
Yeah,
don't
sure.
you,
I
don't
take
you
it away from you,
peeking.
just in case. God.
I should have that.
No, I didn't.
I should stop doing
To
this
be
myself.
fair, that's
hard.
that's deep thinking. I think it would take to get any of these names. I would not. They're not household names per se.
Class.
Yep.
No, I don't think.
You don't need to go for
No,
it.
I'm not going to go for
Oh,
it.
he's going to go. Oh.
I mean, if I can avoid it.
I'm going to go for Germany and Barcelona. Marc-Andre ter Stegen.
I'll give you that. That's a correct answer. So Kieran can either go for the win and risk it for a biscuit, or you
I'm
can
getting an
try
answer
and
for
block off
PSG.
Ryan McGinlay from winning.
I don't know if he's played for them though.
So, Atletico, Barca, Luis Suarez.
Yes, I'll give you that. They've
He's
blocked him
covering
off.
himself there.
Okay. I could see it's heading for another draw here if nobody can figure it
exactly
out.
like
It's
that.
like,
So, trying to think. You're exes, aren't you? Yeah. Just checking.
I thought you were asking about somebody's ex there. I was like,
Could
but
be talking
personal.
about the website formerly known as Twitter.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to go for Germany and Arsenal. Per Mertesacker.
Oh, that's a good answer, that one. That's a good
I
answer.
went for Leno as well.
Right.
Oh, so that just leaves whoever can think of the
Aye, so basically...
I think I've got an idea for that one. I don't know if he's played for them or not.
I don't know.
Right, well, it's you anyway,
I know.
Kieran.
I'm actually right.
I watch Flat Chat's TikToks. I went on a bit of a run with them.
Uh-huh.
The amount of people that are screaming in the comments for certain answers, and I'm screaming with them because some of
That'll
them
be
are
people
pretty
right.
obvious.
I know.
I think that there's only two that you could potentially get for
Wow.
that one, but you need to. But you need there's 7 players who've played for both Atletico and PSG, but only 2 I think are obvious enough to think of.
Okay.
7 players is nuts though between those 2 teams. You'd think there'd be more than that. So are you going to go and just try and block off McGinlay, or are you going to go for the win? Because
I don't know. McGinley's having to go for the same one as me, isn't it? When is he know?
well, McGinley could wait and go for Arsenal and
Yeah.
Celtic, or Arsenal and Atletico. That side is still open for a win there.
Come on.
You could block him off from any potential win here, or you can go for the win yourself. You can go for.
I'm just going to save myself the embarrassment and just go for Arsenal, Celtic, and go for Tierney. Because
so
I'll just let McGinley get
It's
the win on that, 'cause I
impossible for
don't even know.
McGinley to win. If you
No,
want
you
to,
can win
No, it's
that.
not. I've still
That's what I
got
mean.
that
I've
one.
left it open from there. I just don't know the answer.
Right.
I'm gonna go for Atletico. I don't know if he's played for Atletico Madrid.
Right,
But I know he's played for PSG and he's Spanish.
Right.
Juan Bernat.
No, it's not a correct answer. So Kieran, you get to go at any of the 2 available squares left. You could end it in a draw and take it to the final leg, or you can try and go for glory.
I don't even know. I wish I could go for glory, but I genuinely I can't even think of anybody recent or like.
Are they recent?
Yeah. Not like the last couple of years recent, but
Okay,
they're
okay.
recent as in
Okay.
like, the last 5-10 years.
Wow. Okay.
I don't know.
If you want to forfeit,
See, this is my problem because I've stopped kind of playing FIFA. I'd be so
Aye.
clued up in this, but I'm not anymore.
negative ball knowledge.
Lavezzi.
Lavezzi? Nope. Lavezzi's a wrong answer. Ryan,
Eh,
what you going for? Arsenal and Atletico or PSG and Atletico? God, I could just realise that.
Arsenal Atletico.
Just to tie the game.
Redacted name, I know, but Thomas Partey.
Thomas Partey is a correct answer. Yep. Not the one that didn't want his name up on
Just
here.
got on to the third one.
So would you have liked to have known some of the correct answers then?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
not going to
right.
get
So I'll give you the less obvious ones. The 7 potential names you could have went for were Mattia Kesman, Hugo Leal, Peter Lushin. Here's a name you might remember, who's one of the most recent ones, Christian Rodriguez. Don't know if you remember him. He's a bit of flop.
See if Jeremy Menez has played for the
Gregory
Tories.
Coupe, and then the 2 that I think you should have maybe got, but you didn't. Kevin Gamiro, who was one of them, and then
fleetingly,
finally, do you remember Thiago Motta? He was one of
I
the
didn't know he played
potential.
for the
No,
Atletico.
me
Yeah,
neither. I
fair.
thought he was just Barca.
Thiago Motta was another one. So this is it. It's either going to end in a 0-0 draw, or you're finally going to get one right as we do.
Either way, it's not through like a lack of
Yeah,
quality.
yes,
It's
have
been
done
good.
well. These will do all right.
I
on
play
TikTok.
this.
Right, so this is from one of the other apps. But so oh god, I'm fucking all
I
over
do
the
like
place
this
here.
app. I've
Try to
played
hide my
this before.
Snapchat. Right, so on
Got
the
this
top
one.
line, this is the hardest one.
Class.
Then is this
think right
Benfica
then.
Wales?
So you've got on the top line Wales, Real Madrid and Manchester United, and on the way down you've got Benfica, Celtic and Barcelona. Ryan McGinlay, you're first. Take it away. Whoever wins the half-time quiz will have the advantage in the full-time quiz.
God. I'm going to go for Madrid, Benfica Angel Di Maria.
Okay, I'll put your wee circle
Alright,
down,
alright.
Kieran. You're the X's. That's a terrible circle, but on you go. So there you go. There's your start.
Barca Real, Luis Figo.
I'll take Luis Figo. Okay.
Snake himself. Oh my god.
I could see this ending a draw this week.
Yep.
I can see us ending this half-time quiz
Yeah.
with a draw. I love it. The people listening on Spotify and stuff must be like, I can't see anything. You've got it on the screen.
The silence is definitely.
I know, aye, come on. What a show this is, McGinlay.
I don't know.
That is fucking solid.
That one is tough.
I'm going to go for Man United, Celtic, Roy Keane.
Okay, Roy Keane, I'll take that, right. You could at least put it in one that you lined up with your other circle.
I couldn't think of any other ones at this moment in time.
I'll give you clues along the way if it really comes hard, but can you think of any, Kieran, that suits your line of working?
Well, aye, but it's the Wales Barca is going to make it solid. So
I don't know that one.
There's only one Welsh player who's ever
I
played
would
for
assume
Barcelona.
so.
And I don't want to say too much yet, but eventually down the line I might give you a clue. If you want to
I
try
might just go Celtic, Wales, John Hartson. Then
Right, you're going Celtic, Wales, John Hartson. Right, okay.
Right, can Kieran win?
The most difficult game
Nah, I can't win the next one.
of footy tic-tac-toe that we've had yet.
Definitely is. You're right. You're right.
You're defeated. You can pass if you want to pass.
No,
they do
I'll
this
never
every day,
pass. God, Man United, Barca. I'm gonna go for Zlatan.
He's going for Zlatan. Right, okay. So McGinlay could go for a win in the next shot. I might have to go. I've not took off the pen. So
Fika. My God.
Man U, Benfica.
Oh, I've got one.
Fucking.
Oh, I've got one.
Wait, can you say the same name?
no, you can't use the
Nah,
same name twice.
that's
Who are you going to say?
Di Maria.
So we did.
Aye, Di Maria.
Goal against Leicester, I remember.
Oh,
I've got one too.
Have you?
Yeah.
Man U, Benfica.
Oh, McGinley's choking for you
I
to
know.
miss this year.
I hate this game. Wait, every fibre of my being.
It's just came to me. At least, well, I've put myself wide open here.
Lindelof.
Oh, that's a good one.
What is it?
Victor Lindelof. That's a good one. That he stopped you.
Baby.
Oh, were you hanging baby?
Yeah.
Aye. No, Victor Lindelof's a correct.
I
Well
love how
done.
he's just graffitied over the
So, I mean, what's even possibly still left for like a win?
I can go up the left side.
Uh-huh.
That's a.
So, McGinn.
Well, no, you can go diagonally as well
Oh, can he?
with
aye.
Madrid Celtic.
Aye, Madrid Celtic.
I can't even think of it.
Madrid Celtic, I feel, is a very blatantly obvious
I know.
one.
You know, all right.
Aye. It only came to me there because when I looked at it first, my mind went blank.
Aye.
It's the obvious one.
Right, come on, speed it up because we've been on this for 10
I know,
minutes.
this is
Aye.
Surely not.
Right, you're starting to get 10 seconds to
No,
guess.
I know.
Go,
I know.
hurry, move.
It's going to be nigh on impossible when it gets to Barca, Wales anyway.
Barca, Wales, actually, as soon as I looked it up, I went, so he did.
But
But you have to take yourself before your lifetime.
Oh, class. Love that.
Madrid Celtic.
I'm going to
Is
draw
this-
a line
Oh,
in like
Gravison.
There we go.
Gravison, right? Okay, so you've got the two. Kieran, you can try and go for the win. I can guarantee
So can I?
you. Oh, can you?
I can go diagonal.
I can guarantee you right now. You're only getting that top left. You're only getting it. You may as well get up the top
Wales
left.
and
Now.
Benfica.
Aye, you're only getting that. I do feel harsh giving you this one now, but you're not going to get that.
So
I
nobody
think
can
the
win
Barca.
it
Nah, if you want to call it quits and draw in the half time,
then? Not Ian Rush.
no, not Ian Rush. So I'm
I
going.
mean, Hazard, I guess.
Gary Speed. No.
No, just naming every Welsh player you can ever think. of.
Every notable, but I'm guessing it's
Well, there's
before our time.
there's one notable one that you've missed for Barcelona and Wales.
Barca Wales.
Mark Hughes.
We did.
Mark Hughes played for Barcelona, and I'm going to have to double check the Benfica one, but I do feel harsh giving you this now. Next time I'll make it not as tough. Dean Saunders.
I mean, I know his
Played for-
name, but I didn't know
yeah.
he played for.
Dean Saunders.
Pundit.
He played for Benfica. So 3 draws in a half-time quiz today.
I
Wow.
think that's fair. That's fair.
That's well done. He's gave it a crank effort there, lads.
It was a valiant effort.
For good viewing on TikTok, people
Hope it was all right.
screaming at you.
I don't think it'll be screaming Dean Saunders, to be honest.
There'll be some Welsh fans. Right, sorry about that. The camera weirdly decided to turn off on us. I don't know why, but we are back, and it's time to move on to our last kind of discussions part of the show, and it's to do with transfers, because there has been movement at Celtic this week. Carl Starfelt is gone. He's left. When we recorded last week, there was slight rumours and murmurs that he could have went. I didn't really expect it to materialise, but it happened very, very quickly, Kieran, and Carl Starfelt's gone.
I know it's a big loss, because as much as Starfelt got a lot of stick for a lot of sections of the support, I thought it was unmerited. I thought it was a class act, to be honest. The partnership with him and Carter Vickers, you couldn't argue with it. They were unreal together, and it's going to be a miss, but I think it's positive. I'll talk about I can't pronounce his name.
Lagerbielke.
With him coming in, it's positive signs that the club have realised Starfelt's going to be leaving, and they've lined up somebody. They've lined up a clone, a Swedish centre half, a few years younger.
English royalty.
It's like they've just went on the FM, find similar players.
254th in line for the
really.
He's from a noble family.
Right. Okay. Right. Well, he's going to fit in here royally.
Have to announce that.
What's your thoughts on Starfelt leaving, first of all, Ryan? I've already aired all of mine. I'm not even going to bother getting it yet. Like, I've spoke to death about it.
I'm gutted that he's leaving, but I think he's had a really good run at it, and I think it's a perfect opportunity for Celtic to bring in somebody younger as well, who they can develop. They've already done so with Nawrowski. He's 22, 23 years old, 22 years old, I believe he is. They're just about to bring in Lagerbielke, who looks like that will happen next week, 23-year-old. I think Starfelt was one of those players that Ange Postecoglou brought in that were the sort of, not the, what's the sort of word that you would use for them, like Granovic, like Yakimakis. They weren't the long-term answers. They were the stopgaps until we could get younger players through the door.
Yep.
I think he's one of the last ones, maybe Kyogo as well, but Kyogo is in a league of his own when it comes to his striking. You sort of break the policy when it comes to Kyogo. He's just got to stay at all costs. But Starfelt, unbeaten with Carter Vickers and domestically. That's an incredible record. It's the best defensive duo I think I've seen at Celtic in my Celtic supporting life. Even beating Van Dijk and Denier, I would say. Because there was competition in the league as well when Carter Vickers and Starfelt were plying their trade. Out of the two of them, I'm glad that Carter Vickers is staying. I think if I could pick one to stay, every Celtic supporter would say keep Carter Vickers. I think we're even doing long-term planning for his departure next summer. I think I don't want to.
Calm yourself down. We're fucking a year away.
I've had that reaction from a couple of people, but I think that is just the reality. One more season.
Let's keep it light and heavy. Heavy here.
Sad to see him go. But he's doing the right thing. It's a good project under Rafa Benitez in La Liga. It's not as if he's taken a backward step. He's playing in one of the top 5 leagues in the world under a top class manager. So I wish him well. He's been a great servant for the club. Some really good notable performances. Yes, a couple of mistakes, but what player hasn't made mistakes in his career? Honestly, very good servant for Celtic, and I wish him all the best.
Kieran, a lot of people pissing their frillies at the fact that he's leaving because of his personal reasons. A lot of people denouncing him and giving him a lot of trife for it.
I think it's just another example of people forgetting that these players are human beings. Like, they have lives, that they have other motivations in their life. I mean, it obviously seems a bit silly on the face of it, but at the end of the day, it's his life. If he wants to do that, I mean, who you stand in the way? And as McGinlay says, I think it's probably like, he was one of the players that didn't really fit the policy that we're talking about, bringing in the young players, because a lot of people are disappointed at the transfer fee we're getting from him, but did anybody really expect?
I didn't expect any more than that. So
I think after Juranovic, we were like, we know what to expect from players at that age, particularly defenders. It's not even as if
a 28-year-old playing in Scotland, you can't. It's not like he's a world beater. You know what I mean?
You're bringing in his replacement plus $1 million. So that's great business all in from Celtic. Obviously, we still need to see how good Lagerbielke is going to be. We don't know yet. It's a bit of an unknown quality, but. He's a bit of an unknown. Is that the right
quantity.
term? Quantity. That's what I'm saying. Quantity. Get the two mixed up, But
journalist.
Not even a real journalism. But yeah, did you see the edit that somebody made? You traded immortality for Jacinta. Carl Starfelt. Fair enough.
Fair enough, pal.
Do you know what? As long as he's happy and he's doing it for the right reasons.
I wish him nothing but the best. But Lagerbielke looks to be coming in. The updates pretty far along the line now. It looks all but confirmed. Are we happy with the replacement?
I mean, I think you've still get a lot of people that are no happy because they're not spending like ridiculous fees on players, but I don't know what people are expecting. I feel like we're rehashing this conversation every time we come onto this podcast about some of the fans expecting us to just go out and spend £10 million on a player that's going to spend the prime years of their career at Celtic. The reality is the players are going to spend the prime years at Celtic and the players are going to be signing for £10 million. So
exactly.
Like, that's the sad reality. I think a lot of people want to try and say they're understanding of the transfer policy, but they don't understand it in the real terms of what it actually is. But I think it's just hard. It's hard. It's not nice to wrap your head around, but like Celtic are not going to go out and spend £30 million on the three areas that RODGERS wants to bring in. Like, we've got money in the bank, and I think people are getting more annoyed that we've got the money sitting there and we're not spending it. But people are, we've lost Jota, we've lost Stafford, we've lost Juranovic, all these players in like, the past 18 months or whatever. But how much money did we spend on these people?
Aye. Well, I seen a tweet.
They were unknown quantities.
Exactly. But people, I know it's like Jota came in for a loan deal at first. We then justified paying them more money. We spent barely any money on Giakoumakis. We spent, and then I seen a tweet the other day. It was like these four have left in the last year. Have we replaced them? Juranovic is arguably, and I think that Johnson's better.
He's a far better.
I think Johnson's better than Juranovic, and Giakoumakis. Yeah, O's maybe not proved it yet, but we went out and we've signed someone. And then the other, and then Jota, we've not replaced. But who was the other one that was involved in that tweet? It's like who we know. Starfield, we're signing the centre half.
I think it's just a lot of people. I feel like maybe we had so much faith in Ange in the recruitment when he was in charge that we trusted. We've not heard of these people, but because of that window we had at the first one, we were right. All these unknown quantities turned out to be brilliant, but the ones that came in after that, maybe some players like that didn't hit the ground running as much as other players had prior to him. But I think a lot of the criticisms are like, O's a downgrade on Giakoumakis, and I think it's a lot of comparisons between a player that's very near the beginning of his career and Giakoumakis, who came to our club when he was just after being the top goal scorer in the Eredivisie, 26, 27 years of age.
Yep.
Very different people, at very different points in their career. It's hard to compare. I think a lot of people seem to forget the age of some of these players that we bring in. Like, see, because they're not for Scotland and that, I don't know if they just assume that because they're coming in, they need to be hitting the ground running. Like, no time to adapt, nothing. Like, and understand the standards are high at Celtic. You need to come in, you need to perform. But people are getting written off after half a game of football.
I think a lot of people choose to forget Giakoumakis' first 6 months at the club.
I know,
as well.
People had him written off after missing the penalty.
Aye.
And then he was.
When you look at the two of them, O had a better first 6 months than Giakoumakis. People aren't wanting to say that. I know O is a bit raw, and he'll be out for another 6-7 weeks, which isn't ideal, but at the end of the season, everybody was raving about him on title day. Everybody was raving about how good he was when he came off the bench in the second half.
That's cut off again. Let's get on here today. My God almighty. So basically, we found out what the problem is with the camera cutting off twice on us. It's that warm up here today. It's overheating. I've tried cooling it down with a very unique method, and we're ready to crack on. But what we're going to do is we're going to just jump on to the last couple of segments of the show. Unless anybody's got any final points, transfer business-wise, quickly to throw in.
I think we've covered most things.
We still know that there's work to be done, and there is going to be work to be done.
Good to see that Ben Summers is going out on loan as well. I think
same
that's
as
a
Ben
really
McPherson as well.
Yeah, the two of them, two really good loan moves, I would say. I think they had offers to maybe go to Admira Wacker as well in Austria, but I'm glad they're staying a wee bit closer to home. I think they'll get game time, the two of them respectively. James McPake's a good manager for Dunfermline, so I'm guessing he'll get quite a bit of game time. So
Buick paid you to say this.
What?
Has Buick paid you to say this?
Well, the thing is, they rave about O2, who didn't even get a game for Celtic.
Yeah.
So what are they going to be like with Summers coming in?
That's true.
He's a really good young player. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
You going to say something, Kieran?
No.
Well, I thought you were.
I just think because I think Dunfermline have been struggling this year to make some many good signings, so I think they probably will get the game time you want somebody like Summers to be getting.
Aye. Right, let's move on to your questions then. Let's get you guys involved to kind of finish off today's show. A good amount of questions in today. Yeah, I'm going to just fire through them rapidly today because I've actually got Wi-Fi for a change, but I'll let you go back on the Twitter question duties next week. Annual leave, aye. So Doogie starts us off with saying, are you guys getting fed up with the amount of trumpets on Twitter acting like we're in a crisis because we haven't signed marquee signings?
Yes.
Aye. He says he's honestly fed up with it.
It's getting tiresome. I mean, obviously, I do want us to make signings, but I still think even if we make the signings, people still aren't going to be happy because we're not going out and spending ridiculous fees on people. I generally think people would rather us just go out and pay over the odds for these players just so it sounds better. Like,
And that's the thing with these players that cost 10, 11 million. Ardon Jashari that was playing for Luzerne last night, his team get beat 3-1 off of Hibs. He did look as if he was one of their better players, but you know, they're not a surefire to come in and set the header alight. So I think Celtic will spend that money if the right player comes along, but I don't want them to be performative and just do it for the sake of it. They need to have the right profile of player to splash the cash on, and I'm sure they will.
Anthony Devine, who's always here, who's going to be the backup centre half on the bench on Sunday? Who would you put your money on?
Scales.
he seems to be quite fond of him.
Aye, so it looks as though it probably will be him.
I think
Hopefully none of the two need to go off, to be honest.
No.
That's true. Yeah, I think out of the two, I think Welsh will leave the club. To be honest, I know he's been. There was
But we need
reports,
him.
I know for homegrown players and that, but it's he's not exactly going to improve sitting on the bench every week.
No, I know, but I do genuinely wonder what are we going to do if he goes, because we need him for the 8. We don't.
We need to promote somebody for the
The
academy.
only other option is to include McCarthy in the Champions League squad. I think, or bring up somebody for the academy, which
What, Dane Murray and he's still kicking about for
aye.
the B2.
So it's going to be an
He's
interesting one
been
to
injured
watch.
the past 2 years.
I thought he was back, to be fair.
He
I knew
injured
he
again.
had a big long injury, but
You get 2 in a row basically.
That's a sick one.
I mean, and he was in Ange Postecoglou's first
Yeah,
professional
that's right.
game. He had to
Richmond.
come on. But,
Against
and,
Midtjylland.
And he was good away from home against Midtjylland as well. He was 16, you know.
Aye.
He's lost 2 years of his career. You're just hoping he can bounce back.
Cal, who's always here, he says, should we be concerned about the Asian Cup in post-Christmas time?
No, because we can postpone the games.
Oh, can you?
With a certain amount of players out, yeah, you can
Really?
postpone. So I'm presuming, well, because Hateate, if Hateate start the club, obviously, it's going to be those ones where we're going to be one below it, aren't we?
Aye.
We're going to have to be forced to play with all our players out. I'm not too concerned about it at this moment in time because
Still
we do
work
have
to be
enough-
done here.
I'd
and
imagine
in
the club are
January.
well aware of it. To be
Aye,
fair, there are no sign of these players
Or
not being
daft.
aware of the possibility. Because I mean, you forget Tellio as well. He'll be doing
Aye.
that.
Aye, he'll be there for the Australian side. Adlad says, with Kieran Sellik heading off to Qatar and high-profile footballers heading to play in the Middle East for ridiculous wages, how long will it be until they get access to the Champions League? I think in the next 10 years they'll be allowed in.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I
It's
really
going
do.
to be there's going to be a collaboration between the two, isn't there? 'Cause,
Aye.
I mean, although it's interesting though, because Jota looks as if he's going out on loan despite joining
To another
Al
Saudi team banter.
Al Shabab, I think it was, who finished second in 2021.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he's guaranteed those big bucks, I'm sure he doesn't
he will
care.
not be given a
He
fuck.
honestly doesn't care where he's playing because
Aye.
he'll still be getting that a week. So 192k a week, I think it was.
Yep.
You know, make that money, mate.
Can't
Yeah.
believe that. It's still wild.
It's a bag and a half, that.
Al is making 100k a week. It's mad.
Right, Scran question time. Alarms. Thank you, Lewis, for making it stand out. He says, pick any free breakfast items to go in a row. What you choosing and what sauce?
Square tortoise going bacon and then tomato sauce. But
I thought you'd go Brune.
I like Bruno and just bacon. But
Ah, right, okay.
I'm starting to grow fond of tomato sauce and bacon again.
What was it on a roll?
Aye, on a roll.
Does it need to be like these need to be breakfast items? Yeah.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Kind of throw a
Um,
refresher bar on it.
I was going to put a bird's eye chicken burger on it, but I'm not going to bother now.
Burger, what breakfast, though?
If you do it early enough, it can be
Yeah,
a breakfast
true,
item, can't it? I'm going to do a double here. I'm going to do square sausage, then a link sausage, and then some tomato sauce.
That no sausage overload. You like a sausage?
Oh, this
It's a
sausage.
sausage party, mate.
I'd go for... See, my normal rules are bacon, totty, scone, and I could easily cop out and say 2 bits of bacon and a
If it
totty
was
scone.
just bacon and tortoise gone, I'd have brown sauce. But
Aye.
with the square sausage, I don't like brown sauce. for that.
That's fair. I'd go bacon, totty, scone, let's shove a runny egg here, I know, and I'll put some tomato sauce
I
on.
wish I could have incorporated black pudding in, but
Oh, you're a runny egg black pudding. Oh,
I'll
yes.
have 2 rolls.
I'll have
There's needles.
Needles. I showed my dad that a few weeks ago and he was howling this. I don't know how you'd like
You
it.
like it?
I was pissing himself at it. I don't
Try
like
that
it.
one, Stevie.
It's like that right there. Thoughts on the barbecue quarter pounder from McDonald's? Anybody got any thoughts?
I was close to buying it last night
Oh, yeah?
before
I've not had it.
electing a triple cheeseburger instead.
I've
So
done a McDonald's in ages.
Really? I'm a McDonald's loyal, so
I've won every
to the
week.
McDonald's in Spain, man. They're robbing bastards.
God. Daniel Mackay's went straight in, two-footed, saying, who do you hate the most in Sellik Twitter and why is it boys' views? I've got boys' views blocked. I hope I don't watch the podcasts.
You've been blocked, mate.
You've been
He's a
blocked.
very negative man. Do you remember Brian Damage that was before him? He was the most
Yeah, it
negative
rings- it
guy
rings
ever.
a
See, I feel like I don't block people, I just mute them.
Aye.
I feel like I box quite harsh.
That's
Aye.
nice.
I've
Kill
got
him with kindness,
I've got a
basically.
lot of people muted.
I don't have many people muted at all. Maybe I should do that. Maybe people mute me. Maybe that's the difference.
If I feel myself getting worked up, I mute them.
What into a shirt.
Greg enthusiast, Greg Taylor's biggest fan, but it looks it says which he's asked rank them, but I can't be bothered getting the whole list. What's your favourite celebration, and is it the Maltesers? Aye. Yours, isn't it?
What's in a celebration, sorry?
So you get your Maltesers,
Milky Way.
Milky Way,
Yeah,
yeah,
Milky
Milky Way, okay. Fair.
Controversial, I leave Milky Ways for today, I didn't touch them.
There's a lot of scran questions. Mark's got one with rating like juice, but bring it in next week because we could be here all day talking about that. I don't know if this is a pal of yours, Kieran, Liam McPhee.
No.
He just said hi, Kieran.
I feel bad saying that, no, my pal.
He says,
I don't know him on a personal
hi,
level.
Kieran, hope you're well.
Thank you, Liam.
You got a cold actually.
I know.
But you're away in your holidays.
Tomorrow.
Aye, Santa Ponza.
Times.
Lucky bastard. Which Rangers player's face would you like to slap the most and why is it Todd Cantwell, says Caden? Well, Morelos isn't there anymore. Would it be Cantwell's that he'd slap the most?
I'm not a slapper.
Oh, thanks for clarifying.
Just realised.
Aye, no slapper, aye.
Sounded better in my head. Nah, I'm not condoning violence.
I'll give my backhand.
And
Go down
then
and be a penalty.
to finish off today, opinions on doner kebab pies. Personally, would like to see them at Celtic
I've never
Park.
actually tried
Exist?
one.
Yeah, have I?
Wow.
Nah, I've never had one. That's David Turnbull who asked that question. More training, less pies, David.
That's what I say in the team.
Daddy, come on.
But got
Daddy's
competition here. But thank you everybody for your questions this week. That was a good wee run through. Make sure and get involved in every.
Streamlined, but I like that.
Yeah. I just try to get fired through it so we can. I kind of want to catch as much of the second half as I can of that game. But on that note, before we transition,
This man is marathoning this because Kevin De Bruyne has went off injured.
I know.
He's like, you can smell blood here.
There's a chance. Nah, that was me in the Champions League final and it backfired.
Rodri will, mate.
Very quickly, before we go into the full-time quiz, your quick fire predictions for the Premier League season. Who's winning the league? Is it City for everybody? Aye.
Man City, but I think Chelsea are going to surprise a few people.
Oh.
Pochettino's a good manager.
He's not. He's the most overrated manager in football history. He is, and I'll die on that hill.
In fact, no, I'm going to make my dark horses, not for the league, but in terms of a high position. Aston Villa.
That'll do well.
Aston Villa.
Aye,
Hibs
it's
potentially.
very interesting to watch. I'm more interested in FPL points than anything though, so coming for these. Right, it's on to the full-time quiz, and because it was a draw at half-time, there's nobody to really offer an advantage to, but because you got the advantage at half-time,
Give it to Kieran.
we'll give it to Kieran here. Would you like set A or set B, Kieran
Set
Auld?
B.
Okay,
Always
set B.
in it.
He's a set B man. He really is. Right, okay, your theme for this week's quiz, which I have created, is Celtic versus Aberdeen. Very simple. I feel there's some give-me's in here that you should be getting without an ounce of thinking. So, Ryan McGinlay, are you ready?
As I'll ever be, mate.
Okay, question 1. How many goals did Liam Scales score for Aberdeen last season?
I feel that's a trick question. I'm going to just go for it. 1.
1 is correct. And who was it against?
Rangers.
Yes. Well done, Agent Scales. Right, question 1 for you, Kieran Auld. Who scored the first goal versus Aberdeen under Brendan Rodgers in 2016-17?
First goal versus Aberdeen.
Yep. So I'll give you a
Tom
clue.
Rogic.
No, it wasn't.
When did we play them before that game at Portage again?
4-1 at Celtic Park. It was on the third game of the season.
Was it Forest?
No.
Yeah, I did.
It was a man whose name we don't like.
Griffiths?
Yes, Lee Griffiths scored the goal.
Oh, he held up the T-shirt for that boy.
Aye,
Aye.
that's right. Lee Griffiths, he
Don't know
scored
why I remember that,
the first
but
goal that
That's
day.
the second redacted of the day.
Aye, so Griffiths was the answer. It's 1-0 to you, Ryan McGinlay, so you could take a good advantage here. And this is an easy one. I'm sorry, Kieran. As I said, I had
What
to.
happens when you pick set B?
Yep. So, Ryan McGinlay, which current Aberdeen player scored against Celtic in a Scottish Cup final win for the Hoops?
Jonathan Hayes.
Jonathan Hayes is correct. 2-0. Right, Kieran. A wee bit of thinking, a wee bit of arithmetic.
Class.
You picked
lopsided
the right
this,
set. What was the aggregate score last season in Celtic Aberdeen games?
Fuck off.
He's going to go through it and he said, no, allow him to do it in peace. McGinlay, don't you bother putting him off, son.
There's only one game I can't account
I'm
for
ahead
in my
of
head.
Rita.
Oh,
Because I know 3 of them. The scores for 3 of them.
right.
But
So what's the
they
score?
played them 4 times last year, didn't
Yeah.
they?
So what was the scores you've got in your head?
2-0, 5-0, 1-0. And then there's a game between the last game of the season and the one at the first game after the World Cup break, I think.
Right.
Oh. I'm going to just guess 10. 10-0.
Ryan,
I
would you
don't
have got
know
it?
what the score of the
David?
other game was.
I don't think they've scored a single goal against us last season.
They didn't, because the aggregate score was 12-0.
12.
12-0 to Celtic.
Was the other game, what was the score in that one then? Because I'm thinking the first game of the season,
2-0.
the last game of the season, and then the 1-0 with
2-0
Calum
because it was Welsh and
McGregor.
Jota.
Aye.
You get the Calum McGregor one.
Aye,
The
that's
game that
the
Rio
one, though.
Hateate scored
Aye.
twice that he was absolutely tremendous in. That was probably his game of the season last season.
And then there was
That's
the
one I
other
don't remember.
Right, okay, McGinlay, to go 3-0
So
up,
what am I question?
which would put you in a tremendous position here. You've picked the right set of questions, evidently. But what Celt made his home debut from the bench in the 5-0 win over Aberdeen at the end of last season?
Home debut on the bench.
A home debut on the, from coming off the bench in the 5-0 win.
He's just went out on loan today, Ben Summers.
Correct. Ben Summers is right. McGinley's on one here, 3 out of 3. Kieran, you need to get it right, and this one you should get right, I would say. Aberdeen manager Barry Robson moved to which club when he left Celtic?
Middlesbrough.
Correct. So it's
The
3-1.
Exodus.
Yes,
Scott McDonald went, Steve McManus went, I think, as well. Chris Callan, I think.
maybe. Right, McGinlay, anyway, to make it 4-1 and claim your win, to make it 4 out of 4. Out of the former Celts who have managed Aberdeen, who has took charge of the Dons for the most games? Was it A, Billy McNeil, B, Roy Aitken, or C, Mark McGee?
I'm going to go down the middle, Roy Aitken.
He's done it, by the way.
I wouldn't even know when.
It's Roy Aitken is the correct answer. 4 out of 4 for McGinley so far. My
Back
God.
with a vengeance.
God.
I was humbled too many times last
This
season.
league table, you're going to pull a wee gap up there. Right, Kieran, to try and fight for some pride at least here. The former Aberdeen player Andy Considine achieved which feat regarding Celtic last season?
Centre half in his 600th appearance, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't quite that.
What is it?
That is right. Do you know what it was?
Sent off and their own goal. 2 own goals.
It was 2 own goals.
Yeah.
He scored 2 own goals in the one game. I kind of want to give you it because that is
Give 'em
still
it.
a feat in
It was
itself. It was, but there wasn't the answer I was looking for. Because he's just got sent half.
I'm going to get relegated to 20-minute Tims, man.
What podcast on wants to take our guys? So that's your 4th question, which means McGinley to make it 5 out of 5.
I want this.
Jesus, are you ready?
Give me it.
Are you ready? Which 2 players scored hat-tricks against Aberdeen in the famous 9-0 win?
Stokes and Hooper.
Correct, it is. It's 5 out of 5 for Ryan McGinley.
Stokes has got the hat trick first as well.
Well done.
Thomas
well done.
Ronnie gets sent off in that game, and Paul Hartley, I'm sure, for Aberdeen.
Aberdeen. Right, well, Kieran,
I've actually have vivid memories of that game.
do you want a wee
We were awful in that
do you
game,
want a wee,
we scored
do you
9
want a wee
goals.
chance for pride?
Pride's gone, but as well.
Right, so
Pride away.
this one you've got to get. The Cubs met only once at Pittodrie last season. Who scored the only goal of the game?
Calum McGregor.
Calum McGregor. So there you go. What was that, 5-2?
2.
5-2.
See that on
Jesus.
Sunday.
The tiebreaker's not even needed, is it? The tiebreaker can get to fuck. The tiebreaker was how many appearances has Johnny Hayes made for Celtic and Aberdeen combined to this current
2
moment.
spells,
So just throw a number. Don't even think about it. Give me a number.
327.
182.
That's it. 182. Kieran, you were much closer. 396 is the correct answer between
Johnny
both
Hayes.
clubs.
Fair enough.
Yep, fair enough to Johnny boy.
Beautiful human being.
And that brings us to the end of it. Oh, there's the. Do you know what? I'm not even going to put the camera back on for the end of this. We'll just wrap it up here.
I have to make a funny face.
Ryan, put your clothes back on.
Let me help it, boys.
Ryan, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, mate, always.
Kieran, thank you. Enjoy
Enjoy
Santa
your
Claus.
holiday, aye.
Cheers.
Aye. But bring back the sun with you, please.
It's got to rain when I go out.
Right, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you all
Cheers,
next
guys.
time.
See ya.